talk about a little Ray Charles, a few tips. So in our 20 tips for 5-minute success, we took the Ray Charles idea from what I'd say, and this right hand lick idea, that if you roll up to the 5th note of the key we're in, so we're in the key of C, and we do thumb on F, F sharp, and you slide up to G. So that's beat 1. You just get used to that slide there, and you do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So that's this 20 tips for 5-minute practice success. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go over that, but then we're going to dig right into the Ray Charles bass line where you do 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we're going to talk about how to get that bass line going, and then also to connect this idea of the what I'd say lick with the bass line. But in the meantime, just know that this is a great, very popular lick of going to the 5th note of whatever key we're in. And we go 5th, flat 7, root. So we're using blues scale notes, and then we slide with our 3rd finger from the F sharp down to the F. And then you do the minor 3rd, the root, and then you have the flat 7 and the root again. And what's nice about that pattern with the same fingering, I can also start and do the minor 3rd to major 3rd idea. And that is flat 3rd, major 3rd, 5th, 6th, flat 3rd down to the 2nd, root, 6, 5, root. So you have this sound. I'm doing a different bass line as well, but we could do. Or 8th note. Okay, so the way this PDF has quarter note bass line, so it'd sound like this. The way you're going to get that is 1 and 2. So then you're on C and A with the C. And then we do C triad in 2nd inversion. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So we're thinking quarter notes there. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And once you get to the 2nd inversion triad in C, then it's just 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you just kind of practice the syncopated feel, which is the offbeat feel. Okay. If you're having trouble locking all of that up, one thing you can do is play it slow and play it straight. So instead of trying to get a bluesy feel where you feel like you're laying back or doing something really exaggerating, where you're exaggerating the feel to try to make it swing, just think of it in terms of slow and straight to learn how to lock up the hands. So it's like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you get the idea of the way I like to practice is I think you can play anything if you learn how to mathematically get the hands locking up together, and also play it slow and straight. Even when we do an example like the most popular lick at iMusic Academy, we're doing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and you're trying to lock up the hands where you do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and you think, well, how do I get that left hand to lock up with my right hand? Well, one way to do it is slow and straight. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. So there's always a way to make it to where you lock up the hands. Okay, so let's say we practice that for a while. So whatever key we're in, we go to the 5th note and we do this pattern. This also works on the flat 3rd to the major 3rd. So let me just demonstrate that again, then we'll do the Ray Charles bass line that we were planning on doing earlier. Here we go. So I can always do that on the 5th of whatever key I'm in. If I can also do the minor 3rd to major 3rd. Let's talk about why those work so nice. One is on the 5th, it gives you the 5th of the key, it gives you the flat 7, and it gives you the root, and of course that flat 5th down to the 4th, and the minor third, of course. So it's all blues scale notes right out of the C minor blues scale. That's why that sounds good, and that's why all of those notes work. Another thing is that's why you can make, if you're Ray Charles and you turn the blues scale around and you have the right feel, you can make the blues scale sound very musical by using those notes and just making that feel. And that third finger slide is the fingering you want to use to sort of get that down home fingering. 2 and 3 and 4 and I had to learn how to do that. I used to finger things where I go 3 4 just from sort of my classical studies, but I had to learn how to get this feel of the third finger. So you will get that in the same way that you'll get we've been working on Blueberry Hill. We're practicing that 1 2 and 3 and 4 and then. So I go 3 3. So it's a particular fingering of sliding that third finger in both hands that really sound nice. Okay. Why does the minor third to major third work? Because we're emphasizing the flat third to the major third and then the sixth and fifth notes. In Blues Volume 1, we have where you go, that's one of the examples that I teach that says you can have the sixth note of the scale that's going to sound amazing in your blues. Well, you can also, if you're playing the C scale, the first 5 notes, which I think is a very important pattern. It's what I call shape 1 in iMusic Academy. You can go down, if you're in the key of C, you can go down 3 half steps and now you're in the A blues scale. And the first 4 notes of the A blues scale sound amazing because you're on that 6th note again. So the first 4 notes of the A blues scale work great. Also, the first 5 notes of the C blues scale work. Notice that there I put the 6th note up here. Da, 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 da. That's why this works. Your minor third to major third, we like that minor third sound, but occasionally we want to hear that major third. So for our Ray Charles bass line, we're going to do this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1, and just like we did earlier today, we've been focusing on the triplet rhythm for the last couple of days for the Fats Domino Blueberry Hill bass line, and we do 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then. So we've been doing a lot of counting in triplets, but what I want to encourage you guys to do now is I want you to count out loud 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And what's so nice about this specific, hey Jeffrey, what's up, man? Jeffrey, it's always good to see you. Hope you're playing a lot of instruments these days, hanging out. I know you've been attending a lot of the jazz broadcast on at night. So good to see you as always. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's talk about what makes this bass line unique. One thing is you have, of course, beat 1 and then your 2 and. So my middle finger is going to get 2 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The and of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah, Jeffrey, so good to see you, man. Glad things are going well for you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And notice that I'm counting out loud. I know I'm doing it from the idea of a teacher, right? I'm always trying to teach rhythms and say it out loud. I do the same thing for my students. I say, I want you to count out loud because just like we've been counting triplets, the more you count out loud and the more you get used to doing that, the easier these rhythms will be to lock up. Like I have students that are always doing now 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and because you can really lock up the hands and you get that rhythm, you sort of internalize it. So with this bass line, it's a little bit tricky. You have to think 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. The 4 and is what makes this kind of unique. So if I put that with the right hand and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and again 1 and 2. So now we have to start to say, well, how do I lock that up? 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. at first it seems kind of impossible if you've never done this kind of thing. You're thinking, how in the world am I going to lock this up? Hey, what's going on? Good to see you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. In the same way that I'm doing the bass line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I'm going to do the same thing in the right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So we have a syncopated bass line and a syncopated right hand riff. So the way we lock this up is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and... Why can they be rough, Jeffrey? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So what I love it when people can read music and learn how to read music, and if anybody ever needs help learning how to read music, I can always suggest certain books to use. I started later in life to read music. I actually started in college, but for a lot of musicians, they start earlier. But here's what I want to tell you is that I started with the Alfred Adult piano method when I was in college, and to me, learning how to read is something that you will absolutely love if you stick with it. And I promise that there are certain tips you can learn to really learn how to read. So I always encourage people to do that. And the reason I'm telling you this now is because you can also help lock up these ideas if you can actually read music as well. So we learn how to put it together mathematically, but also it's nice to see it on the page. And 2. So if we're going to do this, we're going to go 1 and 2. Okay, so the first thing is left hand is on the beat 1. 1 and 2 and. Notice that G is going to be twice. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now, all right, now look how we're putting this together, almost like a puzzle. 1 and 2 and 3. And the third beat, the B flat is by itself. 1 and 2 and. So on 2 is on the C and G, and then that F gets the second beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 4, this is very encouraging what's happening right here. C is together on beat 4, and then you go to B flat, the and of 4. Let me do that again slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 together and 1 and. Okay, if you understand how we're mathematically putting this together, put got it in the chat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So that's the triad. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. And what's nice about that next measure, 1 and second inversion triad, 2 and 3. So the G's are together and the B flats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let me do that again. 1 and. I start to put it all together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. I like how I'm putting that together on the second measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 right here, and 1 and 2. And 2 and 3 and all together. 1, 2, and ready, go. That's not right. All right, so hopefully that helps you put that together. Let's talk one more time just about how you're going to get this. Repetition is your friend, and just practicing things left hand only will really help you. If I was doing this on the key in the key of C, and I'm going to do it over 3 chords, it would be C, F, and G. So we have the one chord is C, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Do it that twice. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now do that on F, same fingering. Now it's F and C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Back to C. Now on G. F. So we have so on when I get to the F chord, I can do that as well. So minor third to major third. So instead of doing the fifth, let's do the minor third. Now when I go to F, same thing, minor third to major third. C. G, watch this. Or let's do the end of that. Or I could go. Okay, now once you get these ideas down, where you're doing the fifth or the minor third, then you could actually use it on any bass line. You could do it for your quarter note bass line. You can do second line. Yeah, Jeffrey, the jazz crowd, I guess you're right. They can be kind of tough. But you're a legend in that chat room from what I remember. Questions about any of that? I hope that helped you guys. We have 5 people watching. What questions do you have before we sign off for tonight? We've done a lot this week already for the public iMusic Academy. So we have our pop-up lessons every now and then. What I would encourage you guys to do is to spend time with this lick, either the third, minor third to major third, or the fifth, and just kind of wear that out. And then the other thing is, you have 2 bass lines that we've been working on together. One is the triplet rhythm for the Fats Domino, the Blueberry Hill, 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 1 and then 2 and then. Yeah, so Jeffrey, what I've been using for most of my students is the simple walk up like this. I mean, you can always do that kind of thing, but for a simple walk up bass line, because it helps us lock up the hands, you can do right. another thing, Jeffrey, is speaking of not only turnarounds but triads. I've been doing a lot of coaching with some of my jazz prodigies that I have. I have some really good students that are take solo lessons with me. But we've been talking about triads and just so many different ways to use triads. And I have printouts on everything, but we do like your C triad. If you're doing a C blues even, you can have C and you practice going down half steps, like chromatically. You could practice this as an exercise. And then A minor chromatically has steps. So you could do. Like when you have your gospel triad, your C triad in second inversion, you go down to D minor, da 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 da. Same kind of thing, but now you're adding kind of in a bluesy kind of situation. Those are really nice, though. At least for me and for my ears, I like to think about. So you have C, and you know D minor is going to be great, but also that C. F in second inversion up to your G minor is a nice sound. So you have. And then when you go to F, it would be the same thing. That's just more like an exercise of hearing different triads, especially the second inversion triads, where I go F, E, E flat, D minor, getting used to those, and then coming down. And I also would practice those slow like this. And sometimes when I do my turnarounds and I do and you hear how those work, you have Anyway, you get the idea. Those are fun. What other questions do you have before we sign off? Great question, by the way, Jeffrey. Jeffrey's always has the best questions. Just got here right as we were signing off. It's good to see you. What questions do you guys have as we round out? I've been doing a whole lot of videos for our YouTube community. What is the bluesy jangle sound? I don't know. I kind of like the sound of whatever you're talking about. I'll give you one other tip while I'm waiting to figure out what the bluesy, jazzy jangle sound is. So this is in relation to what we've been doing yesterday. So we've been learning how to count in triplets: 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and. So if you're playing our most popular lick at iMusic Academy. So one course that I did a while back, is called alternate blues. So the whole chorus is I think the first volume is, I've done 27 bass lines, but and sheet music for everything, but I only released one volume, but it was blues alternate bass lines. And so you take one idea and you practice doing it with a lot of different bass lines. So let me give you an example of that on a few different ones. So if this is your quarter note bass line, and this would be great to do in all keys, right? You're either hammering on or you're sliding. That's for a different conversation though. But then you say, all right, well, let me change the bass line, but still lock this up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So now I have to figure out how to lock up my hands, and the answer is 1 and. Okay, the and gets my thumb. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so then I might change it and do a second line kind of groove. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So then I just have to figure out where does it lock up? 1 and 2 and the E with the C on the and of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and then the thumb with the F and A. 1 and 2 and 3. This is how we do it. What are the most important slide into and go from what are the coolers? Yeah, that's a great question. What is your first name? PTL. Oh, thank you so much. I like PTL 87, but I want to make sure I know your first name. So to answer your question in terms of trills, so in Blueberry, Patrick, great questions, Patrick. So one of the things we do in our Blues Academy, we've been doing, and we're finishing this week, is Blueberry Hill. And so in the intro to Blueberry Hill, there's this trill right here of on the E flat. It does the third up to the fifth. That's a great way to trill right there. And actually, as we were doing that for Blueberry Hill, excuse me, I can't talk. Blueberry Hill, we practice it like this. So we start there, but I like using fingers 2 and 4. And then after you've practiced this, you can do. And then you could turn it into a triplet. And then you could do it like this. Isn't that cool the way that works out? Like, it goes back to this idea of using math to sort of get it down, and then you can speed up. So we started off very simple. Da 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 da. So I'm just thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5 and 6 and 1. Okay, so Patrick, while you're here, I want to tell you what I've been teaching all my guys and girls in our group. So in this 20 tips for 5-minute success, we've been using this a lot lately. The interval of the flat 7 is where I always say that if I'm not feeling bluesy, I want to start there because it has this great sound. Be-da-da-da-da-dum. And so let me give you an example with just our very basic bass line we have. He said, "Wait, you saw Jack Dupree? All right. Well, I like Jack's song. Then we have this dee da 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 da. So you hear just how bluesy it is to start on the flat 7, right? Ba da 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 da. And the other thing is this: I love rolling that minor third to the major third, and even when I go to F chord, the 4 chord of the C blues, all I have to do is go to that E flat instead of the E, and now I get that bluesy flat 7. So we have ba da 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 da. Now watch. There's that flat 7. The other thing is, I mentioned this the other day, is that when you're doing your minor third to your major third, this is a really good tip for everybody. When you're doing the minor third tip minor third to major third. When you go to the other chords in the blues, the F and G. So we have C, F, and G, which are our 3 basic chords for the C blues. Whenever I go to those chords, I can think minor third of F to major third, and I can think that to G as well. So you guys already know, especially if you've been hanging out with me, whether you're doing blues or jazz, this minor blues scale for C will work over every chord. No matter if you're doing jazz or blues, C would work. And it would sound weird if you changed all of your licks to go, okay, I'm on the F chord. Okay, now I'm going to do an F blues scale. And now I'm on G. No. If you're in the C blues, you're playing C blues scale. But when you do these minor third to major third type licks, it sounds great to think about that scale of G or F now. So listen and let me show you what I'm talking about. So we did this. We did this idea of dee-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, and I'm dee-da-da-da-da. When I go to the F chord, I'm going to go up to the flat 7 of F. And you see how it works. Now on G, I go up the flat 7 of G, and it works and sounds great. Let me do that one more time, and I'll demonstrate that on another lick. Going up to the E flat. Okay, and the same thing when I get to G. Okay, now, just by telling you that, it already sets us up for very simple licks, even the Ray Charles stuff that we just did. If we're doing the minor third to major third on the What I'd Say lick, or the Jack lick, or the Jack Dupree song, What I'd Say, then we have this. We have this. Over the C chord. When I go to the F chord, watch this. Back to C. And then I go up to G. It's the minor third to major third of G. Minor third of F. Now, I've been doing, in addition to this walk up where I say you do 5, 3, 1, 2, 1, 5. That's a great walk up to not only get in the key of C, but any key, because it's doing one of the scale of whatever you're in, the third note, then you do 5, third finger, thumb, 2, 1, and 5. So any key you're in, all you have to think of is the root of whatever key you're in, up to the third note of the scale chromatically, so one note at a time up to the 5th, and then down the octave. Now, why is this important? Because one, that's an easy baseline to learn for a turnaround, and also in the right hand, I start on C and I start on C, and I come down a whole step, and then chromatically down, and watch, we end up on G's together, the 5th note of the scale, and then it starts over. A couple more examples, and then we'll wrap it up if you guys don't have any more questions. Is that this minor third to major third, you hear me do this all the time where I say, all right, learn this. Such a great ear training technique exercise. Third up to the root. Da, 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 flat 7, root 6, and you end with the flat 7 and the 5th. So when I go to the 4 chord of the C blues, which is F, third of the F scale up to the root. There's my flat 7 and 5th. I'm doing kind of a lightning fast. Normally I would take a lot more time, but since this is just bonus material, on G, third up to the root, third up to the root of F, and then. So once again, awesome. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so all of those riffs like this are so crucial to know and so important. And even Patrick, this idea of it's the interval of the sixth is so nice. So you have this interval, and I can come down. Listen to this. So I could go. when I get to F, yeah, so you see how that works. Awesome. Okay, now the last thing, awesome, yes, very bluesy. The last thing I want to leave you with, Patrick, and you guys, is that you have this flat 7. Again, if you're not feeling bluesy, go to your flat 7 and you'll feel very bluesy. The next thing is use the interval, not the interval, but the note. The 6th note is just such an important note in the blues. It's just like the flat 7, that gets me in the blues spirit, but so does the A scale, or sorry, the A note or the A minor blues scale. Because all the way through the blues, I'm just going to play this bass line and just listen how this nice, the 6th note of the blues sounds. Now watch this. Now it's the 3rd of F. Even stay there. And then I went to the flat 7. Let me do it one more time. I'll stay there. So notice that when I did this lick right here, the reason that that sounded good when I went up here is because I'm doing that same idea of that minor third to major third lick. And I did a whole training. If you watch one of the videos I did earlier today, I think it was earlier today, where I did this idea, but I did it over the Fats Domino lick, 2 and 3 and 4 and I showed you how to put all that together. It ultimately all comes down to math. All right, you guys, I'll go another 1 minute if you can ask any questions that you have, and then we'll call it a night for tonight. But thanks so much, Jeffrey, of course, for hanging out. Toonmon, thank you for hanging out. And Patrick, it was very nice hanging out with you and great questions. To our iMusic Academy family, you guys are awesome. We hit 15,000. And it's been going really well. Our Blues Academy is somewhere around 20 people, 20 amazing people. I have students all the way up to 86 years old. We have just such an amazing community. We do lessons on Mondays, on Thursdays, and it's such a great platform, and I'm very excited. And it's like a family atmosphere for sure. Wish you had stumbled on this earlier. Have a good night, everyone. All right. Patrick, always email me, or you can get in touch with me any kind of questions you have. You can email me at bob@imusicacademy.com, or you can email me at imusicacademy1@gmail.com, or bobtaylormusic@gmail.com. Guys, have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video. Turn on your notifications, everyone, so that you can catch me on the next live. Keep up the great work and keep having fun with music. That's an order.